Hello, everyone. Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery here with our contributors Jeffrey Kare and Cordell Martin to talk about the latest episode of Dancing with the Stars, A Night at the Movies, which aired on Monday night, 2 days ago as we're recording this. So we've had some time to digest the goings on. For starters, the first thing I want to talk about is that Lindsey Stirling dance at the end of the night. Because wow, and because amazing, and because probably one of my favorite. I haven't been watching continuously throughout the entire series, but of all the dances I've seen, that's probably one of the top 5 or 10 best I've ever seen. You start with you, Cordell. What did you think about that Argentine tango, which was inspired by science fiction?
Yeah, to your point, Daniel, I thought as well it will go down as one of the most memorable dances in Dance with Stars history. This was the dance that I was looking forward the most to see Lindsey perform. As I mentioned in a previous article, actually you mentioned that she danced with Derek Huff in one of her videos where she did the Argentine tango and killed it. So the expectations were high and she delivered them and my expectations. And also, Mark Dallas deserves an Emmy nomination and win for this routine and just all his routines this season for Lindsey.
What did you think about that dance in particular, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah, I thought that was, I guess, when it comes to, the ballroom, when you're mixing in some science fiction, I guess on paper it sounds pretty weird, but I thought Lindsey and Mark's routine seems very inventively slick the other night.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about that for me is that it's one of those dance styles with that concept that seemed to not be a great fit. You have Lindsey Stirling is playing this robot out of Ex Machina or Metropolis, and yet she's dancing an Argentine tango, which is the opposite of robotic. It's all about these luxurious movements and elongated movements and these lifts, and it's a very, very expressive dance, and she's trying to deliver it as an expressionless robot, and the choreography by Mark Dallas does such a good job of balancing the robotic elements. Like you could see the jerky kind of movement, the deliberately jerky kind of movements of the robotic quality with the elegance of the Argentine tango. I just thought it was, absolutely phenomenal. And it got a perfect score from the judges, including guest judge Shania Twain. So which I was glad to see after Jordan Fisher got his perfect score last week. So other than Lindsey Stirling, let's talk about some of our favorite routines of the night. Let's go through, let's say, our top 3 other than the other 2 favorites other than Stirling's. What about you, Cordell? What were your 2 other favorites of the night?
Yeah, my other 2, Jordan Fisher. I mean, this kid has just been on a consistent path from week 1. I don't think there's any dance that he cannot do and execute it well. I thought it was just amazing. The rumba tends to be one of the more difficult dances for male celebrities, just in terms of like the fluid movements and hip action, but he pulled it off effortlessly. And then it's a tie for my other choices. Vanessa Lachey, I thought her quick step was really good. We heard that in action. I felt like the last 2 weeks, she was a little bit down regarding all the drama. So to just see her smile and get back in the spirit that she was the first couple of weeks. And then Terrell Owens. He was someone that I initially wrote off in the beginning of this competition, but with Terrell's teaching style and really just staying on him and really giving him the confidence to become a dancer, I think now he's like really improving, and this is the moment in the competition where fans are looking for those contestants who are improving and are really showing that growth, and he's one of those stars that will be benefiting from it.
And how about you? What other performances really stuck out for you, Jeffrey?
Well, yes, I definitely did like Vanessa and Max's routine. They thought they did great work this week, and I also, I mean, having been a fan of the show, I also appreciated them performing to that song from the short-lived NBC series Smash. And for Jordan and Lindsay, I thought their routine was breathtaking, and I thought Nikki and Artem's routine this week was, stylishly sexy. Yeah, I did like those routines. Those were probably the standouts to me this week.
Yeah, I agree with Cordell about Jordan's definitely. I do wish there were more growth from him, but I don't know how much there is to grow. Like he's just good at everything, and that's the thing about the rumba. One of the things that feels so difficult when I'm watching a rumba about judging the celebrities on it is that there's nowhere to hide. It's a very subtle dance style. It's a slow and sensual dance style. So you really need to have those subtle, graceful movements down. You need to, if you don't have that hip action, then there's not much to see. And so you need to have all those little bits of technique, very, very polished. And he was perfectly polished, including, I must say, the twiddly fiddlies that Len didn't like. Let's play tribute right now to the twiddly fiddlies. That hand movement that I'm just so, this deserves a 10 from the judges, that movement, which honestly, my favorite critique of the season ever, maybe ever. I will never forget the twiddly fiddlies. But yeah, I can't fault him for a single thing he does. He's so good. And Terrell Owens also, I didn't expect to be that impressed. That was another one, kind of like Lindsey Stirling. That was a dance style and a concept that felt like it was not going to work. Like you're doing a jive inspired by spy movies, and it's Terrell Owens who had not like Lindsey Stirling. I was confident whatever you throw at her, she could handle it. But Terrell Owens, I was like, I don't know what this might be a hot mess. It was his best performance of the night. It was my personally my third favorite performance of the night on a pretty good night. It wasn't like everyone fell down that night. And so yeah, this is the point in the competition where he could be starting to look like a Rashad Jennings kind of person. Because Rashad started higher than Terrell started, but Rashad to me didn't look like a winner, didn't even look like a finalist necessarily in those first few weeks of the competition. And now Terrell looks to me like, yeah, he's got what it takes potentially, if he keeps this up, to be a finalist.
Yeah.
So that was impressive to me too. Now let's go to the opposite end of the night. Let's consider some of our least favorite performances. Cordell, who would you say were your bottom 2 or 3 performances?
Ooh. Overall, everyone pretty much did a solid job, with the exception of Nick Lachey.
May he rest in peace.
Yes. I knew once they gave him a Western-themed samba, it was going to be a hot mess. Like the movie reference to Wild
Wild West.
Yes, there we go. Try to forget that movie, but
yeah,
it was. Oh gosh, I'm just glad that he is done with the show and he can just go back to his family. It was overdue. Let's see, another performance. I was a little disappointed with Frankie's performance. I thought, okay, he has a jazz routine, and it's a Sheila E. song that kind of reminds me like Bruno Mars' Sick Out Now. And I thought maybe he'll just get a little funky with it and have a good time. But I just felt that we got a little lost in how the choreograph is. It was just kind of like, we'll just throw all these dance steps together and let's hope it works with this creative staging. But it just fell a little flat for me. I'm hoping that, Frankie doesn't suffer because of that performance and is eliminated next week. But those are the 2 performances for me that fell a little short for the night.
How about you, Jeffrey? Did you have any least favorites, or did you enjoy everyone, or were there some that kind of fell short for you?
Well, I mean, I did enjoy everyone. I mean, sure, some were better than others, but I thought everyone seemed at least competent tonight. Like, I thought Frankie and Whitney's dance seemed perfectly energetic, but though I am a little concerned that they could be in danger of elimination next week. And as for Nick and Peta, well, okay, out of all the songs they could have danced to, they chose the thing from Wild Wild West, really? But, they at least still did a solid job. It was certainly much more watching than that movie.
That's true. That on a scale of they did bring to mind an unfortunate film for most anyone who saw it, but at least by comparison, that Nick Lachey dance was absolutely a masterpiece compared to the film Wild Wild West. I do feel I feel bad for Nick. I feel like it was his time to be eliminated. I feel like if someone had gone home instead of him, I would have been not happy. But I feel bad that he felt so bad. Like, oh, I'm no good at this, and I mean, he was better than Bonner Bolton, who made it to 5th place last season. He's been better than a lot of people who made it farther in the competition than he did. He got unlucky in that he was in a season that was really stacked with people who were not even like miles ahead of him, but a little bit better than him consistently. So I feel bad that he felt bad. I wish he had gone out with more of a feeling of confidence, thinking, you know what, if I stay, if I go, I'm gonna have some fun. So I do feel bad for that. Although he is gonna continue to be on the show supporting his wife, so that won't be his last memory of the show, at least. So I'm glad for that.
Well,
I do also agree. Yeah.
Well, yes, I was about to mention that. Yeah, he at least for the rest of the season, he'll be able to cheer on his wife a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he can absolutely support her, and he can like be there maybe for rehearsals if Max gets out of line. Just slap him across the face a bit. That should be a great clip package for the following Monday night. I also agree that Frankie Muniz is one of my favorite performers this season, my favorite contestants. I did not like that jazz dance. And I think it was not, I mean, he did make mistakes in that routine. I think it was more the choreography. I feel, ironically, the dance style worked against Whitney in the sense that, you're trying to be inspired by animation. Like 1 week after they already did Disney Night, which had a lot of animation in it. So where do you go from there? And then it's a jazz dance, which means it's so open to interpretation that it never felt like I never felt like I knew what she was trying to do with that dance. So if she had a more rigid, specific dance style, I felt like she could have catered it to that theme a little bit better, because it would have been something specific instead of just this wide open playbook where she's like, okay, I guess now do this, or it felt like a lot of random movement that never cohered into an actual dance. But I do love them both. I love that partnership. I want to see them stick around. I think they'll probably their fans will probably be afraid enough for them to vote for them. I think they'll be okay next week, but you never know at the stage of the competition. Which I guess brings us to the question of who will be eliminated next week. And I honestly think it could be any of 4 or 5 or 6 people. Who do you think is going home, Cordell?
Oh, this is tough. I narrowed it down to 3 people. Drew, just on the fact that he's at the bottom of the leaderboard. However, I think with the harsh critique that he received from Lynn, that his fans are really going to rally behind him and keep him safe. Frankie, for the simple fact he landed near the bottom of the leaderboard. The dance received mixed criticism and mixed reviews, and he's been a little bit inconsistent the past couple weeks. And his fans may think he's safe because they're like, oh, he didn't land at the bottom, but he wasn't at the top, so he might be safe. And then also Nikki Bella. I think we're getting now to the part of the competition where sometimes where those leaderboard favorites at the top are being saved by their fans and only to go home in a surprise elimination. She went first, which tends to be the kiss of death, like Debbie Gibson. And he's also been one of those contestants that never really got her shine like a Jordan and Lindsey and Vanessa. So her fans might think, oh, she's doing well now. She's getting the high scores. I don't really need to go out and vote. So I might potentially go home.
What do you think about who's going home, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah, I definitely have Drew and Frankie in my top two. I think, well, Drew, now that Nick's gone, it could be Drew's time to go next week. But then again, I am, as I said before, I am concerned about Frankie. I think, he could be this season's Heather Morris, though I guess at least this time around we'd be a little more aware that it's possible than we were last season when Heather was eliminated. And, Cordell also does bring up a good point about Nikki. She could totally see her, just getting eliminated just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm predicting Drew Scott at the moment, just kind of playing the numbers. He's at the bottom of the leaderboard. He hasn't really been this tested before in terms of his fan base. So I think he probably has some passionate fans, but I don't know how passionate they are. Nikki feels to me like the Heather Morris of the situation. When Heather Morris was eliminated, she had one of the higher scores going to that night, and she was sent home. Mm-hmm. And Nikki Bella's in a similar position where she's doing well. She doesn't have the ringer backlash that Heather had. Heather was, I think, ultimately was crushed down by that. But Nikki scored relatively high. She's in the, not just in the middle of the pack, she's a little upper middle, but still fourth. So it's right in the middle. And so, I don't know if I don't think she's even been in Jeopardy this season yet. Although for all we know, she's been in the bottom two, but they just haven't announced her as being in Jeopardy because they make that up, to start drama. And so, and so her fans don't know how safe she is. And so maybe that's good. Maybe they'll be like, oh, okay, I really like Nikki Bella. I don't know how much support she's going to have. Let me vote for her just in case. I have my fingers crossed that that's going to happen for her. But it could also be the fact that, okay, she's never been in Jeopardy, so she's probably doing fine. I have some laundry to do. Maybe I won't vote tonight. And so that could be a situation. But I am predicting Drew. I thought Nick would be safe this week. Because he was at the bottom of the leaderboard and his fans might come out and just want to save him. But I think his fans probably thought we've probably seen as good as we got from Nick. And I can imagine some people thinking that about Drew. I thought he had some problems during his performance on Monday night. I do think he has more potential than Nick had because he has performed so much better and better over the course of the season, and this week just happened to be a bit of a backslide for him. So I think he can get right back up there, which maybe his fans think also. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Nick just because I can't bring myself to predict Nikki Bella. I'll take the bullet on that one because I don't want to put that into the universe. So yeah, I'm predicting Drew at the moment, but I do think it could be Drew, it could be Frankie, it could be Nikki, it could even be Victoria. I think she has the inspirational story dynamic that can really push her through, but it's not a visible disability that she has. She has overcome this being ill and being in a vegetative state and being paralyzed from the waist down and now dancing. That's not a story we heard in her clip package this week, so it's not something that they keep reiterating every chance they get, which is a good thing. I don't necessarily want them to be like, oh, by the way, I can't feel my legs, because it's going to feel a little bit cynical. But yeah, that was another performance, middle of the pack, a little bit towards the back, and maybe her fans think she's safe, and maybe that dance is not going to inspire the kind of passion. I think she's vulnerable. Literally, the only people who I think could not possibly go home are Jordan and Lindsey. And watch one of them go home now. I just jinxed them. Honestly, it would be season over if either of them does not at least make the final three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's no, shut it down. No. So next week we've got Halloween night. which will be October 30th, so the night before actual Halloween. What are you guys looking forward to the most on Halloween night? Starting with you, Cordell.
Yeah, actually, the team dances. So a little bit of breaking news. I saw who the teams were. So the first team is Drew, Victoria, Vanessa, and Frankie. And the other team is Terrell, Lindsey, Jordan, and Nikki. So right there, I'm betting on Team Terrell team to be the team to beat, just because they have Jordan and Lindsey on the same team, which is a lot. But curious as to how that played out. And then, of course, Halloween, I feel like it's going to be a great theme, and hopefully there's some interesting musical selections and dance styles, and most importantly, great dancing as well.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to, Jeffrey?
Well, I guess everything Cordell just said, as well as what costumes they could be wearing, since Halloween can be a great holiday to dress up as different people or creatures or things.
Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, Cordell mentioned Mark Ballas deserving an Emmy nomination for his routine this week. I think if you take that and his jive, the guilty pleasure jive in bed, that dance, and then whatever the heck he can come up with for Halloween night, because you just know that's going to be it's Halloween, but it's going to be Christmas for Mark Ballas.
Oh,
and like put those three dances together. That's your Emmy reel for best choreography.
there you go.
Yeah,
so I'm very much looking forward to, because he's got to top what he put Lindsey in movie night, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to I'm looking forward to the group dances, but I'm worried about shenanigans. Cordell and I discussed this a little bit online about how they might announce maybe one team is in jeopardy and one team is safe. They've done that before, and they put Jordan and Lindsey on one team. So if they're going to pull the one team is safe, the one team is in jeopardy, I bet they're going to pull the shocker. Oh, the Jordan and Lindsey team is in jeopardy, which means that it would probably be Nikki or Terrell who goes home. And you know that they would know that too. So and they'd probably announce it before they go out and dance, which would be so cruel. You got Nikki and Terrell knowing that they're basically fighting each other to stay alive, and I hate those kinds of shenanigans. I don't want to see that. Just play it clean, Dancing with the Stars. No need to get that that sadistic with it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the dances, not necessarily the whatever drama they're cooking up for announcing that elimination. But with that, go on, Cordell.
Oh, I was going to ask you guys, what did you guys think of Shania Twain as the guest judge?
Oh, that's right. We haven't talked about her. Yeah, go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well, I mean, I guess she did fine. I mean, though I guess her performance, I mean, even though she, of course, was promoting a movie she had coming out, her first acting role, to be clear. Well, I mean, her performance.
I think it was just the song for the movie. I don't know if she's actually in that film. Is she?
I really, because I thought I saw that she is, but in any case.
Oh, maybe she is. I might not have seen that.
Well, yes. In any case, the song she's performing, it does sound pretty lip synced. Like her vocal performance just didn't sound live.
No,
I do believe. I'm pretty sure she was lip syncing, which I would hold against 9 out of 10 people. I know she's had some vocal cord issues over the course of her career. It's one of the reasons it took her 15 years before she put out another album. And also she was talking all night at the judges table. So maybe, they weren't, she wasn't sure how her vocal cords would be able to handle it. I was a little disappointed not to hear her sing live, but I'm not going to hold it against her too much. Although, what did you think of her as a judge? I thought she was okay in terms of, but I felt like she was a little bit flustered trying to give a lot of critiques. Like she couldn't quite find the words necessarily all the time, which is understandable. She's not, she doesn't judge dancing for a living, so it's not something that she's that familiar with. But what did you guys think of her critiques? Cordell. Yeah.
I thought for the most part, she was all right. In the beginning, she was giving me a little Paula Abdul vibes with her critique. So I was like, Shania, are you okay? But I think as the night went on, she became more comfortable in the judging role. And there was a few times where her scores, I was just like, wow, giving 7s and, 8s when normally the guest judges just gives out 9s and 10s like candy. So she actually was serious about her role. So that was a breath of fresh air.
What did you think, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah, she did seem to, I guess, really champion at certain contestants. Like she of course gave, I guess, a ton of 10s. So, but yeah, I guess, when you have someone from the outside coming in to judge a dance competition, you certainly get a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I felt it was so weird seeing that 7 on that Victoria Arlen performance, because you saw Carrie Ann 8, Len Goodman 8, Shania Twain 7. It's like you could feel the room just be like, what did you just do? You were stingier than Len, and it wasn't even on like if that were like a Nick Lachey performance or something. But on Victoria Arlen, who everyone seems to really love, she gave a 7. It's like, ooh, tough. And then she overcompensated a little bit later. I think she was just like, one of the reasons I think she gave Terrell a 10 was like, no, she's not getting stuck with that low score again, because that audience turned on her fast. So she's like, okay, I'm going to be on par or higher than the rest of the judges for the rest of the night. That is my job. That is my role. I'm going to play it. But I appreciate her being on the show and participating. The guest judges are always a mixed bag. I would say, as guest judges go, she did a fine. She didn't stink up the joint. She wasn't quite one of the great guest judges like a Nick Carter. I remember he guest judged. He did a fantastic job. But good for her and good for her career and her new music coming out. So much congratulations to her on all that. Mm-hmm. And with that, it was a pleasure talking with you, Cordell and Jeffrey, about this week's episode of Dancing with the Stars. And we will definitely reconvene next week to talk about Halloween night. So thank you, everyone, for watching.